Odds Checker Nation, we are back with your baseball weekend preview. I'm Jamie Kelton here alongside Mr. John Laghezza. John, how is it going?
Yes, Beauty and the Beast, episode 3. I wake up so excited for this every day. I clearly am the Beast. in case anyone was wondering if anyone was on the fence with that one, I'll call that one. I'll call that one down the middle. I'll call it down the middle. I know. Don't be.
Well, that's very kind. Thank you. But I got to tell you, I don't wake up looking like this. So
are you sure? I mean, I got like some beast. Although you know what, at my age, I'm getting near 39. I've been told I shouldn't be covering it. I can prove it. I have a full head of hair. It's real. It's real. I do cover it up, but yeah, it kind of has like a Travolta thing going on when I do it. But all right, enough of that. Enough of that. I'm going to do a dance move every episode at least once because it gets me in the groove. And Jamie, I don't know if you've been following the Twitter handle at MLB Moving Averages. I have been a walking cash register lately.
Love it.
One of my sayings is I have the receipts. If I said it, I got the receipts. I talk a lot of smack. I have to be able to back it up. In the last 10 days alone, I've had people come to me with a $100,000 winner, with a $40,000 winner, and just quote tweets and screenshots of all types of stuff. Everything I touch is gold right now. Let's hammer this out today, and let's give people what they're looking for. Yeah, I'm telling you. I can't believe it. I always do pretty good, but my head's been exploding. Everything I'm touching is gold. Yeah.
Wow. I just got back from Vegas last night and I won $2,000 there. And I thought I was on a
Oh, nice. Oh, we're hot. All right.
Small potatoes. Yeah, I was at a place called Stadium Swim where you can go and bet on all the games and watch 10 screens that are like 100 feet long, also swim in a pool. It was absolutely amazing. I was still waiting, John, for Alec Bohm to touch home base, but I just have you seen that yet?
No, I actually heard it. It was all the buzz. I've been working just around the clock, and sometimes some of these things do get past the big guy. It does happen. But listen, don't get upset. I think, for everything, and I love it. That's why I love to talk to you so much, because even in our kind of like our banter, there's always some good lessons. And you know what? You win some and you lose some. And that's really not just a saying. It's part of it. We can't ever let that take you down. I loved how the first thing you said was positive, and you have that big glowing smile as always, because that's the kind of stuff that will help you win tomorrow, not how you did yesterday. It's that attitude that you took with it. We all win, we all lose. I got to be honest, I was just coming off a chiller last week. It happens. And as long as you manage your money, it really doesn't matter. I'm not going anywhere. I never, that account never ends up at zero. That's why people come to me, man,
Totally. Well, let's get to your analysis and picks this week. As a Braves fan, I just had to bring that up. I'm all for, looking forward, not looking at the past, but we got to follow the rules. We got to that's why we have instant replay, right? So that was frustrating. I had to bring that up and see, what you thought about that. I know that you are such a huge proponent of pitchers, but let's talk about these offenses, right, rather than defense. So whose bats are hot right now? Who's for real? Who's faking it? I know there's a couple teams you wanted to touch on, so maybe let's start with Arizona.
Yeah, okay. So I think the really like the overarching theme that I was getting at for people here is you got to kind of mesh perspective. Right? It's always important. It's funny how these things have to happen all at the same time, right? So we need a broad view, but almost at the same time, you have to keep a corner of your eye on recency. And this is something that I bring from having a trading background. And it's, to zoom up, right? Kind of take the 35,000 foot view, zoom up. But at the same time, we have to be careful of what's going on right now in trading. You might be talking about a 1 minute candle opposed to an hour candle. In baseball, we're talking about season stats compared to, let's say, the last week. So that's what I want to take you. I'm going to take you on a little trip right now, Jamie, and show you where we and our, loyal followers at OddsChecker are going to be able to get paid, because again, it's really important to understand that the casino and Vegas does not predict winners. They find the point where even money intake will balance out. They don't predict winners. That's a common misconception. Like, oh, the house is this omnipotent being. You're much better going with the big guy. That's where the sharp baseball money is. But here we go. So I'm going to give you a couple teams. We're going to talk season stats and then give you an idea of the micro, right? So the macro down to the micro, the telescope down to the electron microscope. So Arizona, you mentioned them.
Those that are for real.
So if I told you We have a team that have the worst line drive rate in the league, less than 17%. They have a bottom 5 hard hit rate via StatCast. They have a sub-average WOBA. They have a sub-average WRC+. They have a bottom 5 expected WOBA on contact. All that is simply is the amount of damage you're doing when the bat's on the ball. Because right now, there's a lot of strikeouts and a lot of walks. We kind of want to we want to get granular. We really want to get our focus down. So all those are terrible. That's the Arizona Diamondbacks. At the same time, they ticked up. Things I talk about on my podcast, that's the Cork Stats podcast. You get it on the FTI Network or really any of the major providers. If you want to kind of get even further, I take all these games and put them under the microscope. We start identifying underlying trends and metrics. They stopped striking out. They started walking. They stopped chasing. Fundamental things that players are in control of outside of results, things that I don't worry about. And now when you look at the last 7, the OPS as a team is above 800. The K rate, which I mentioned, now below 19. Walk rate over 14. K minus walk, remember we talked about this last week. Single digits is tremendous. When we get down to the bottom half, meaning 5 or lower, these are elite disciplinary metrics. And in a game of strikeouts and walks right now, pitchers need chases. A disciplined team is the winning team. That's what happens right now. That's kind of the age that we're in. So that same Arizona team now, 121 WRC plus opposed to 95. So here's where we're getting at, and this is the lesson where we're going to find the edge. People chasing Diamondback stats look at the season and go, they're terrible. This is the worst line drive hitting team in the league. Blah, 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 blah. And they just go on and on. You're going to repeat all the season stats that I just told you, right? Which are correct, but they're applying them incorrectly because they missed the trend indication. The shorter-term trend, the 7-day, has crossed the longer-term trend, the 14-day. That's our first indication. Then we look more closely. We see disciplinary improvements, and boom, they took off the last 7 days, and the public hasn't caught up. Now here's the edge, right? So I'll show you how to identify it, what we're looking for as we kind of look downrange, but then also how to execute it. And this just happened last night, Jamie. I'm not the type, I told you, I am the anti-tout. You're not going to see me taking pictures in front of airplanes and carrying pink purses. It's not my style. If you see me out in real life, I got the black hoodie on. I got my daughter on my shoulders. We're wearing Mickey Mouse hats. Like, I'm just a regular G. That's how I roll. I'm a regular guy. I like to help regular people. But the problem with regular people, and here's a famous quote, when you think about kind of how dumb the average person is, remember, half of them are dumber than that. So unfortunately, they can be slow on the uptick, and that's why they come here, right? So what happens is the public has been slow in Arizona, and just yesterday they were facing Patrick Corbin again, narratives. This is what we're going to be talking about today, Jamie, the reoccurring thing, the drum I'm going to keep beating, hopefully not down to the dead horse level, but it's that important. The public is going to run. Generally, markets don't react, they overreact, and we look to counter. But right off the bat, the market is moving in the wrong direction. So already we're early in the season, and I've been cashing left and right on teams like Arizona. Now, I'm not going to beat you with all the stats again. The reason I just dragged that with one, but it's the same idea with the Atlanta Braves. Your Atlanta Braves. I'm going to tack on one more thing that we're going to look for as far as trend indication, and it's superstars. When the superstar takes off, that tide rises all ships. We're looking at you, Mr. Acuna Jr., the best player in the world right now. His at-bats are must-watch TV. It is absolutely electric. And not only is he lighting the world on fire, Jamie, he's doing it down 1 in the 8th inning, like in the most high-leverage spots. So the point being, Atlanta, the same idea. I'm not going to beat you with the stats. Atlanta, the season stats are not very good. They're just not very good. They haven't caught up to the trend swap. Now I'll give you one more in the other direction. Cincinnati was super hot. Now the last 7 people are chasing them to score every day. Last 7 for Cincinnati, 612 OPS, 5% walk rate, 62 WRC plus, 40% worse than average. So that's really, I know there's a few lessons in there, like a cluster, although that's kind of how I do it. I'm like a buckshot of information, right? It's always going to be a burst, like a burst level, but be careful, people. We need to, like I said, macro, but then micro, all at the same time, kind of keeping all those bowls spinning they're always talking about. So I'm glad that we got to bring it up, Jamie, because there's so much there, right? Defeating narratives, using different perspectives, identifying edge, and then kind of, acting on that to kind of make money. So again, maybe it's no coincidence I've been in ATM lately, right? A lot of work going on.
Absolutely, absolutely. All right. So let's, in professional sports, John, we have a few new rules that come out every single year that can affect betting. But this year, it seems like there's a lot of new rules in the MLB. Can you talk to odds checker fans about that and what that is doing to their betting and specifically more of like perhaps the death of the under?
Yeah. I had mentioned that we spoke about that before we got on the air, and okay, there's gonna be some really good stuff here, and get ready for some more professional advice. And this is actionable stuff, and this is stuff I'm doing myself. I've always been ahead of the curve. I'm a little more focused than most, right? And some people bet baseball. I'm betting every single game under the microscope, every day for a decade. So, you with the experience and stuff like that, I should be on the front of the curve of the learning curve. Okay. That being said, so now we have our extra inning rules. There's a quick recap of the rules.
Mhm.
Baseball used to end as a tie, and then we go into match play. Think of it that way. The first team does not score. The second team must score to win. If they do not score, you rinse, repeat, and keep going until a winner is determined. Very similar to overtime rules in football, though, they had their own changes.
Lots of hair analogies today. I like it.
Now, well, if I could, you would think maybe I should have rocked it during the quarantine. I should have let it go. That would have been worth one like cool little wave in the wind, but maybe another time. Maybe once I hit that jackpot. Okay, so now when the game ends as a tie, you start with a runner on second base. So this is creating a myriad of problems.
Mm-hmm.
So although I guess remember I'm a perspective guy. It depends on how you're looking at these things. So let's start just with that, right? So a runner starts at second. I mean, in theory, just kind of baseball theory 101, with a runner on second and nobody out, you should score every single time. The theory being you can advance the runner with an out, advance the runner with an out, and score without needing a hit. Okay, so that in itself is going to lend itself to more scoring. Okay. Then there's the match play element, which is going to open the door for overs, which is the essential death of the under, as you put it.
Mm-hmm.
So for my under betters, which is funny because I am an under better. So this hurt me. It hurt me, because this is a way that I make money. It's a way I feed my family. So I had to pivot. I'm not just going to walk chin first into the uppercut. We don't do that. We do take uppercuts. These things happen. You don't get a face like this having never gotten punched in it. Okay. I get punched. I get knocked down. But remember, adversity does define character. And I pick myself back up, dust myself off, get the lumps out the best I can. May not come out as well as that end of the camera, but I do the best that I can. So we're going to have more scoring, so it means unders are dead for 9 innings. Never again will I ever bet a 9-inning game, providing these new extra inning rules are in place. Never, ever again. You could be. Let's just give a quick example because I like actionable stuff. The average over under is 8.5 runs. It can be 1-1 going into extras, and you're going to lose that. Where the chance of that happening in the past was so slim because you had to get a guy on and then move him over and then get him in, and then both teams had to do that. But now, bunt, sack fly, score, bunt, sack fly, score. You added 2 runs to the total, and now you're resetting the frames. Those unders are just not safe anymore. So if you want to bet unders, you have to bet the first 5 under, or you don't bet at all. And now the flip side of that, Jamie, is there's a resurgence in overs. The over now is always safe. So if you have a model like I do, I'm the creator of the MLB moving averages algo, which now has way more hours in it than I care to admit. It's like we're in the thousands. And if you're a model user, then, you could gauge your moves on the model. But if not, man, you can almost just go over blind in some of these games. Just go blind on the offense because you at least have a chance to hit it. So remember, people, in summation, to summarize this, 9-inning overs, yes. 9-inning unders, never, ever again. Just literally never again. It's very cheap. Although I love the F5. I love the F5 under because remember, no bullpens, 2 starting pitchers. And oftentimes, a lot of the damage is done in the middle of the bullpen, right? The third time through the order, and then that middle reliever. That's where a lot of the damage happens. So we're going to try to avoid that, people, right? And try to maximize opportunity. Again, I don't predict the future. I just put myself in the best probabilistic scenario at all times, or the best that I can, at least.
All right. So 5 innings under, 9 innings over.
Yeah, yes. And you know what? I love that you have it about you that you kind of, it takes me forever and I go in these circuitous, long-winded paths sometimes. It's just how I do, and you're like, yes, and then it's like doom. We have this really great compliment going on. So yes, people, it's that it really is. And I'm almost making no exceptions, Jamie. I mean it. I'm almost making no exceptions, regardless of the pitcher, DeGrom, versus Bieber. The over-under is still always going to be 6.5 or 7, no matter what, always. And I still don't want that because in that little 2-inning gap where they're not pitching, the game could be tied and it could go another 6. So count me out.
Well, I love these rules that you throw out every week because, perhaps some of our new bettors, they don't really know, but that's an easy thing to remember, right? Our equation we had last week on, 5 inning under, 9 inning over. I think those are safe, easy ways for them to bet if we have some bettors that are just looking to get into MLB betting this year.
Yeah, well, I'd love to have not only just a plan, I really have a written plan, and that comes from my background in trading. I don't know if anyone has ever kind of stumbled into the market to try and make a primary income. It's very humbling. It's a very humbling experience. And without the true discipline and those kind of stringent parameters, I find you're always going to end up at zero. I don't know. I've never met anybody that succeeded professionally without a written plan. So doesn't mean you need one. I've yet to know anybody that's been able to do it without it. And I can speak for myself. Years without one, no success. Now a decade with one. I haven't had a year in the red. I just can't even remember any. I just can't even remember anymore. I just assume that everyone makes money every year, but it's because of the management. Again, it's the same. I'm very boring. It sounds really much smarter than it is in reality, I think. But it's process. It's process.
Reaching across the screen and like brushing your shoulders off.
Listen, having a process, it matters because, if anything, it'll just keep you objective. And I think that's another element to sports betting. There's a lot of the men would probably not want to admit it. There's a highly emotional aspect to it. And you cannot allow that. That's disallowed. And that's not a chauvinistic macho thing by any means, Jamie. That's not what I mean. It's not allowed regardless of sex.
That's part about sports is that it is emotional.
Yep.
But this is why we have all this amazing content for our viewers so that they can take the emotion out of it and put the objectivity into it and win more money.
Yeah, you got being proactive opposed to being reactive is probably the best piece of advice that there is other than manage your money. I mean, manage your money is always number one because without it, you're not in the game, right? We said that before. It doesn't matter how skilled of a gambler or a trader you are. If you don't have any money in your account, you can't do any damage if you're not in the arena. So though I may not be perfect, and I'm certainly not, I am always the man in the arena. I am always in the arena. I literally haven't come out of the arena in 15 years. Between trading and betting baseball, I'm in there every single day. And you know what? That says something too. Just surviving with, without funding accounts. It's just, it's a skill in itself. And that's kind of my favorite thing to try and impart on people is I know they love the stats, the baseball stuff, because that really, for me, is that final cherry on it. And that's what really, I think, took me to the next level for sports betting. But without that, kind of solid foundation, it doesn't mean much. You're going to end up at zero and upset, all the would'ves and could'ves and should'ves.
All right. Well, speaking of managing your money, we've been talking for the last couple of weeks now about the futures market. All right. And it seems like that's changed slightly week to week. And I love that that's kind of a consistent topic that we get to bring to our viewers. So has anything changed, John, from last week to this week or in the last couple of weeks that we need to note?
Well, okay. I think there's one thing I think to unpack is when I kind of said that to you, the topic note, maybe it sounded better in my head because I don't want to make it sound like we need to be overreacting, right? That's never kind of my style. So I really should have prefaced it with that. But it's that we should be keeping an eye on the temperature again, seeing if we've picked up on shifts that the public has not. So I think one of them, right now it's just as general as identifying teams that are better or worse than we thought they were going to be. As simple as it's going to sound, sometimes it really is that simple, right? So one of the teams I was thinking about on top of my head was the Brewers. I kind of wanted to so I want to get the record up. They are in first place, 7-5. Their win-loss hasn't moved yet. None of their odds have moved yet. And so they're not just one of those teams that had the weak start and now they're ticking up. So that was my first kind of indication. You mentioned my love affair with pitching. So far on the season, Milwaukee Brewers starting pitchers have a 2.9 ERA, a 1.89 batting average against, 2.79 weighted on base against. I mean, those are elite level numbers. And again, we knew they were good because we knew they had Woodruff. A lot of people wanted to see it again from Burns. I happen to be very confident in him. But Hauser is better than we thought. Freddie Peralta is better than we thought. Okay, so all of a sudden, that plus Devin Williams and Josh Hader, who actually have not been off to a great start, but I believe talent will kind of rise throughout the season. The Brewers right now, I am checking that box of this is a value. Again, I don't know what's going to happen, but that division is winnable, Jamie. Right now is a time to get money on the Brewers at the same money that you would have gotten it at before we knew they were good. So it's dumb. Again, as simple like that, it was just the most simplistic kind of breakdown I could have given. Thing good thing good, bad thing bad. But you know what? Sometimes it's just what it is. Sometimes people outsmart themselves and try and add too many filters and too many this, too many that. Sometimes you kiss, right? One of my man, my mentor Pete, if you're out there, man, I love you. He said, Johnny, kiss, kiss, kiss. And of course, me being stupid said something about a rock band from the 70s, said something about me painting my face like a cat, if I remember. And he said, no, it's keep it simple, stupid. And he's right. Kiss, keep it simple, stupid. Not to put anybody down, but really, the simpler you keep it, the more clarity I feel that you'll have, because this is a complex situation. It's a very complex formula that we're trying to break down. So yeah, you can get off into the weeds with 5 million stats if you'd like. That's not necessarily going to get you closer to where you need to be.